sexual variety, a woman who can't have orgasms, and attraction to strangers. Hey, it's Alex from Revolutionary Sex. Today I want to answer an email that I received that I think has some really interesting, juicy stuff in it. And got my handy dandy iPad here. Hi Alex, I was dating a woman who couldn't have orgasms during sex. We started having sex for about 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, she told me that she doesn't think that I think she's sexy. A couple of months later we spoke, and it turns out while having sex with another guy, she learned how to come. And I asked her how, and she responded that she was using the guy for sex, no feelings, and he wasn't even that attractive, but because she had zero thoughts in her head other than to enjoy sex, it happened, and she was surprised. She said that I was actually a better lover, that my penis felt better inside of her, but she just had too many negative thoughts while she was having sex with me. Can you explain this to me, Alex? Is this possible? How can I be a better lover, and my penis feels better inside her, and she's more attracted to me, and yet she learns how to come with a guy that she has no thoughts of at all other than to enjoy sex itself? Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. P.S. Your book is awesome. Already putting it to use on my current girlfriend. Glad to hear that. What interested me about this email is that this is normally the kind of thing that I get from women. Very often a woman will write to me and say that her husband or her boyfriend seems to have lost his libido. He's lost all attraction for her, and yet he knows that he hasn't completely lost his sex drive. He's still interested in looking at the Victoria's Secret catalog or at pornography, or he's interested in other women, and yet when it comes time to perform in the bedroom, he seems disinterested, he's got some shame around it, maybe he can't get an erection. This is a very similar thing that's going on with this guy and this woman who likes him better, she finds him more attractive, he has a nicer penis, feels better inside of her, and yet she has orgasms with this guy that she's not attracted to, she doesn't like as much. The viewer is asking me, is this possible? Well, it is possible, it happens quite a bit, and people have a lot of shame and difficulty around it, so I kind of want to decode it and explain why this is happening. See, a lot of times we overcomplicate sex. We let our feelings and our emotions, and most of all, our thoughts get between us and the place where sex and sex drive and orgasm really come from, which is the reptilian brain, the animal brain, which is less concerned about talky stuff and relationship issues, and even whether or not we like somebody. In this case, for this woman, her boyfriends in the past provoked all kinds of feelings in her of inadequacy. She said, actually very telling, that when she's with him, she doesn't feel sexy, and she began feeling insecure about that. Now, I don't know if this is anything that he was doing. I suspect that it wasn't. It was probably something that she was doing. She had her own insecurities about showing up as sexy enough for him, so that when they were in bed, instead of being able to naturally have an orgasm, as she had with this other guy that she didn't care about, she was too much thinking about whether or not he was finding her sexy, if she was doing things right, if she looked okay. And this can show up in a lot of different ways inside sex. Sometimes it's you can't have an orgasm, sometimes it's you lose your attraction, and it's not always about the same issue. It's any time we engage our thinking brain up here, the cerebral cortex, rather than the reptilian brain back here, that controls things like heartbeat, hunger, and sex drive. And that's why a partner who we really care about, somebody who we've been with for years, can seem less attractive to us than a total stranger, because that total stranger represents nothing to us but a female or a male, that person who we can have sexual desire with. They're just genders. But once we get to know them, once we're talking and once we have a relationship with them, other things get in the way, like, wow, I really want to impress this person. So frequently for a man, it's that he wants to impress a woman who he met, who he thinks is special, and suddenly this is the woman that he can't get an erection with. Or for a woman, this is a guy who she really cares about and she could see a future with, and this is the guy who she's so in her head over that sex becomes maybe painful. She can have vaginismus, or she can't achieve an orgasm. Now, this thing of getting into our heads can be driven by feelings of inadequacy. It can be driven by wanting to be liked. It can be driven by the fact that as friends and partners in a relationship, we've gotten too involved in the business of life with this person. So when they come to bed to us, they're not just a female or a male, they're not just a sexual creature, they're also this partner who we pay taxes with, and maybe we have to figure out who's going to drive the children to school in the morning. They bring up for us all the normal stresses of life. Now, it's important not to get down on yourself if you're the person suffering from this, and it's important to not get down on yourself if your partner is the one who's suffering from this. And the answer, the cure to it, is pretty simple. The problem is what she's thinking. And what she was thinking in this specific case was, I don't feel sexy when I'm with you. And the cure to that is to tell your partner exactly what they should be thinking. In this case, he could have been consistently telling her and showing her that he felt that she was incredibly sexy. Telling her, like, wow, you're so sexy, you turn me on so much. Taking her hand, putting it on his cock when it was hard, and saying, look at what you do to me, you drive me crazy. I love the way you smell, I love the way you look. You feel so sexy to me. And then give her some verbal feedback, that kind of, yeah, it's beautiful, make noise, the expressions on your face. Let her know, in no uncertain terms, that for you, she's a sexual creature. And if he did that with his body language, his facial expression, the sounds he made, the words he used, then she wouldn't have been able to go off on these thoughts on her own. She couldn't have gone traveling off in that place. She would have been embodied into the sexual moment, and she would have been able to have an orgasm with him. In fact, probably a better orgasm than she had with this stranger who she didn't care about. Now, at the end of the day, this is obviously a big issue for a lot of couples, and it doesn't always manifest as, I don't feel sexy with you around. It can manifest in many different ways where you get into the thinking brain instead of the reptilian brain. And I can't obviously speak to every issue and every cause of this in this short video, but I can tell you that that is the cure every time, is to take responsibility either for yourself, if you're the partner who can't have an orgasm or can't get an erection or isn't feeling your libido, or help them by telling them exactly what they should be thinking, pushing that emotion that you want them to feel into them. And finally, and maybe most importantly, and the thing that I can't really get too deeply into, is that while the thinking brain is the enemy of the animal brain that enjoys sex, there is another possibility, a stronger possibility for people in relationship, for couples that really do care about each other, and that's to connect this reptilian animal instinct to the heart or the emotional brain, and to bring emotional intensity into lovemaking. And that's something that this stranger could have never given this woman, and that's something that no stranger, if you're a woman, can ever give to your man. And that attachment of sex drive, of libido, of animal brain to the emotional brain, to the heart, is really what most of my programs are about. And so I'm going to sneak in a little pitch here and say, you should check them out. I think it could really change your life and improve the way you make love and improve the way you relate to the opposite sex in all of your relationships, and maybe in that one special relationship. I'm Alex Solomon for Revolutionary Sex. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.